children, welcome to Beulah Online Education. In this video, we'll have a discussion about a cell which is included in SCRT syllabus for class 6. When we heard this word cell, immediately what comes into your mind? A battery cell which is commonly used in a watch or in light? No, it is a cell present in a human body or an animal body or a plant body. It is a cell which gives a definite shape and structure to carry out all the vital function. And before entering into a classification of the cell and the types of cell, we will make an attempt to know about what is a cell, the definition of a cell. So if you just observe these two pictures given here, you can find some similarities between them. So in the first diagram or the first picture talks about a building, that is a wall, and the building block of a wall will be a brick. Same way in the next diagram it talks about a cell which is the building block of all living organism. So the definition of cell will be cell is the basic structural and the functional unit of every living organism. For any living organism to carry out a basic function and to give a basic structure, cell is very important. So the definition of cell is the basic structural and functional unit of every living organism. And now we'll come back to the first page. What are the classification of the cell? Based on the types of cell present in any organism, we can classify the cell into two important types. One is a prokaryotic cell and the other one is called a eukaryotic cell. What is a prokaryote and what is a eukaryote? The primitive form of a cell in a living organism is called as a prokaryotic cell and advanced form of a cell is called as a eukaryotic cell. And what is the common difference between the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell? True nucleus will not be present in a prokaryote. That is, the nucleus will not be surrounded by a membrane called as a nuclear membrane. The prokaryotic cell, the nucleus will not be surrounded by a nuclear membrane, whereas in case of a eukaryotic cell, a true nucleus is present. It means that the nucleus is surrounded by a well-defined nuclear membrane. This is the common difference between a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. And one or two examples are given here. The first example and the common example for a prokaryotic cell will be a bacteria. You know what is a bacteria? Bacteria, the first life to be appeared on the earth, and it is present in almost all the habitat is a bacteria. And when you take about a cyanobacteria, it is an aquatic and it's a photosynthetic bacteria that usually lives in the water, is usually called as a cyanobacteria. So bacteria and the cyanobacteria are example for the prokaryotic cell. And what is a prokaryotic cell? No true nucleus. And coming to the next type of a cell is called as a eukaryotic cell. In a eukaryotic cell, a true nucleus is present. I told you already, and examples are given here. A plant cell and animal cell are given as an example. And discovery of the cell. The credit of discovery of the cell goes to an Englishman, and he was a scientist and he was a mathematician and inventor, and he is known, he was a Robert Hooke. So Robert Hooke was a person who observed a cell, and when he observed a cell, we can't see the cell through the naked eye. The cell can be visualized. It can be seen only under a microscope. So Robert Hooke have discovered the cell present in all living organisms. Now what is the structure of a typical cell? The structural organization of a cell. A typical cell consists of an outer membrane which is protective in function, and the liquid content called as a cytoplasm, and the inner region is called a nucleus. So a typical cell consists of a cell membrane, a cytoplasm, and a nucleus is present. And analogous to the body's internal organ. What is the meaning of analogy? Analogy refers to similar in function but different in the shape and the size is called as an analogy. Some examples are given here. The shape of the eye is different and the function is also different. Each and every organ of our body, maybe an eye or a heart or a lungs, has a function of its own. It has a specialized function and perform a valuable function which is necessary for normal cellular operation. The functioning of each and every organ of our body is very important to carry out the basic or to carry out the very important vital function. And what is the size of the cell? The size of the cell may vary from micrometer to a few centimeters. Now here you can see, here it is given as METER and here it is given as METRE. So what is the difference between this spell of METER and METRE? This METER is an American spelling of a meter. So American spelling of a meter is usually called as is the spelling that is referred here METER. And what is METRE? British spelling of the unit of a length is usually called as an METRE. That is the difference between the two spelling. So the size of the cell may vary from a few micrometer to a few centimeter. But in general, most of the cells are microscopic. What is the difference between a microscopic and a macroscopic? The cells can be seen, they can be visualized, they can be observed, or they can be studied only under the microscope, and they cannot be seen with the naked eye, but they can be observed only through a microscope. And this is very important point. The smallest size of the cell is present in bacteria. And the size of the bacterial cell may vary from 0.01 micrometer to 0.5 micrometer. This is the size of a bacterial cell. And in this slide, the different shapes of the cells are given here, and the shape of the cell differ from one to another. Some examples are given here. When you talk about a nervous cell, it just looks like a tree having a main trunk and the branches at the top. So what is the main important function of the nerve cell? The main important function of the nerve cell is to conduct the impulse, to conduct the signal, or to transmit the signal, or to transmit the command or the information given by the brain to all parts of our body. That is the main important function of the nerve cell. The shape of the nerve cell is different from the RBC. And now what is RBC? Red blood corpuscles. It's a component of our blood. Our blood consists of so many components like RBC, red blood corpuscles, WBC, white blood corpuscles, or a platelets, and the plasma is present. The main important function of the RBC is to give a red color to our blood. Our blood is red in color due to the presence of iron pigment called as an hemoglobin, in which oxygen is binded to RBC. So what is the shape of the RBC? It is a biconcave disc shaped structure. Now what is a concave? Having an outline or boundary that curves inward is called concave. So what is the shape of the RBC? It is concave. The two are concave, biconcave disc shaped structure. And if we talk about a muscle cell, it may be a spindle shape. And the main important function of the muscle cell is to provide or is to give support to the bones. by which we will be able to carry out our physical process normally. This is the shape of the cells. The shape of the nerve cell is different. It may look like a tree. An RBC is biconcave disc shaped structure, and the muscle cell may be spindle shape or in any other form. And now we'll come for the number of cells. The number of cells present in different organisms may vary. They may be a unicellular or maybe a multicellular. What is uni? It's a single. And what is multi? And many cell. The cells may be a unicellular, it's a single cell, or maybe a multicellular. And some examples are given here. Bacteria, amoeba, chlamydomonas, and yeast are some of the examples for the unicellular. And already we have discussed about a bacteria. The first life forms to appear on the earth is a bacteria. An amoeba, it does not have a shape of its own. It is irregular in shape. And what is a chlamydomonas? This chlamydomonas is a type of an algae, and it's a unicellular, and it is found in stagnating water, and maybe in the fresh water or in the sea water. And in general, the chlamydomonas are found only in the water, that is aquatic in nature. And what is a yeast? The yeast is also a unicellular organism, and it is involved in the process of fermentation. You know what is fermentation? Fermentation is a process by which the carbohydrate is broken down, or breakdown of carbohydrate in the absence of oxygen. And what is the important role of yeast in the fermentation process? In yeast, fermentation results in the production of ethanol, or maybe a carbohydrate or a carbon dioxide, which can be used in the food processing. Bread is a common example. The puffy nature of the bun or the bread is because of the action of the unicellular organism, namely an yeast, involved in the process of fermentation. So what are the examples for unicellular organism? Bacteria, amoeba, chlamydomonas, and yeast are some of the examples for the unicellular. On the other hand, organisms such as Spirogyra is an example. What is a Spirogyra? It is an algae. And what algae? Green algae. And it is found in the fresh water. And mango, it is a common tree. And human being are some of the example for the multicellular, wherein the body of Spirogyra, a mango, and human being, and not only that, so many species are there, and where the body is made up of many cells, that is few hundred to million cells, that comes under multicellular. And now here a hierarchy level of diagram is given to you, from smaller, from simpler one to the complex, to the bigger one it is given. So the range of cell size is given here, and the first diagram you can see a shape of a virus is given here, and that is an envelope virus is given, and a bacterial cell, and a plant cell, and a human egg, and a frog egg, and hen's egg. At last you can see ostrich egg is given here. The size of the egg varies from virus to ostrich. It gradually goes on increasing. So ranges of the cell size varies from virus to ostrich. So what is the size of the virus? So the virus size is found to be, that is one, it is the smallest of cell of all is the virus here, and the virus size it ranges from 1 microns to 1000 microns, that is the unit of the virus. And ostrich egg, if we just talk about ostrich egg here, it is 6 inches in diameter, and it weighs about 1.3 kg, and which can hold almost like 600 eggs. So there is a gradual development in the size from the virus to ostrich. This for your reference. And now types of cell. Generally cells are basically classified into two types. One is a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. And earlier in the first slide itself we have discussed what is a prokaryote and what is a eukaryote. And no true nucleus, not surrounded by a nuclear membrane, is a prokaryotic cell, and if it's developed by a well-developed nuclear membrane, it is usually called as an eukaryotic cell. So here it has no true nucleus, that is prokaryotic cell. It is a true nucleus, that is a eukaryotic cell. And now we'll enter very deeply into what is a prokaryotic cell. So example for the prokaryotic cell: bacteria, is an example for the prokaryotic cell, and it has no true nucleus. It means what? The nucleus is not surrounded by a well-defined nuclear membrane. This type of nucleus is called as a nucleoid. So in which the nucleus is not developed by a nuclear membrane. So no nuclear membrane is around the nucleoid. And this cells were the first form of life on the earth. So it ranges from 0.003 to 2.0 micrometer in diameter. Example, Escherichia coli is given as an example. So what is Escherichia coli? It is a name of a bacteria. This Escherichia coli or E. coli, it is a bacteria that usually lives in the human intestine. What is the importance of the E. coli or the Escherichia coli bacteria present in the human intestine? There is a benefit to the bacteria as well as to the host, that is to the human being in whose body it lives. So Escherichia coli, the bacteria living in the human intestine, it is able to get or it is able to absorb the nutrition from the body of the host, by which the E. coli or Escherichia coli is benefited. Now what is the benefit to the human being? The human being also is benefited due to the presence of this E. coli, and because of the presence of the E. coli in the human intestine, vitamin K is produced in our body, and the important function of vitamin is involved in the clotting of a blood. So that is what we can say symbiotic association, by which both the bacteria and the human being are benefited. So this is an example for the prokaryotic cell. E. coli or the Escherichia coli is given as an example, and this is the structure of the E. coli, and we are not going to enter deeply into the structure of the E. coli. Maybe in the next level in 7th standard we will be studying about E. coli structure. And now it will come for the eukaryotic cell. And eukaryotic cell, the cell which has a true nucleus is called as an eukaryotic cell, and it is bigger than the prokaryotic cell, and it's organless bounded by a membrane. What is the meaning of an organless bounded by a membrane? So this organless refers to any specialized structure within a cell that perform a specific function is usually called as an organless. And now what is membrane bound organless? Here it is the organ will be bounded, or it will be covered, or it will be surrounded by a lipid. That lipid is called phospholipid. It will be found in 2 layers, that is called phospholipid bilayer. So all the membrane, maybe a mitochondria, which is called as a powerhouse of the cell, or ribosomes are example for the membrane bound organ. The membrane bound organ, the membrane of the organ will be surrounded, or it will be covered, or it is enveloped by a lipid called as a phospholipid, which is a bilayer. And what is the importance of the phospholipid? That it allows organelles within a cell to control whatever enters or whatever leaves it by selectively permeable membrane. What is the meaning of permeable? That is the layer or the membrane which allow the substance to enter in or to come out is called permeable. And what is selectively permeable? Only selective or a certain or an important substance alone is allowed to enter into a cell. That is the main important functions of certain organ. That is what the word is given here. That is membrane bound organless, or it's organless bounded by membrane. What are the organs? Example we can say endoplasmic reticulum or a mitochondria is given, and ribosome are given example for the organless here. Now this is the shape and the size of the eukaryotic cell, and this all that is common animal cell is given, and briefly we will be discussing about the plant cell and animal cell in 7th standard. We will be discussing about that. Now we will make an attempt to know the difference between the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. The size of the cell ranges from 1 to 2 microns, and its diameter ranges from 10 to 100 micron. And the absence of membrane bound organelles. So organelles will not be surrounded by a membrane, that is absence of phospholipid bilayer. And in case of eukaryotic cell, presence of membrane bound organelles will be usually present here. And nucleus consists of no nuclear membrane, that is no true nucleus for the prokaryotic cell, whereas in eukaryotic cell true nucleus is present and it consists of a nuclear membrane. And prokaryotic cell last difference will be absence of nucleoli and the presence of nucleoli. So what is the nucleoli here? Irregular shape, that is region within the prokaryotic cell is usually called as a nucleoli. This is a common difference or the major difference between the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. Now plant cell and animal cell are example for the eukaryotic cell because they have a well defined nuclear membrane surrounding the nucleus. And now we'll discuss about a plant cell. So plant cell is usually larger in size and they have a cell wall in addition to the cell membrane. And what is the main important function of the cell wall? Protection in function. And the plants also have a chloroplast. What is a chloroplast? Chloroplast is an organ which is the commonly present in the plants but absent in the animals. And the main important function of the chloroplast is that it carries a pigment called as a chlorophyll. What is the chlorophyll? It is a green color pigment present in the plants. And with the help of the chlorophyll pigment present in the chloroplast of a plants, the plants are able to prepare their food on their own by the process called as a photosynthesis. And the plants also has a large vacuole. The vacuole, it is a place where the food materials will be stored here. That is called as a vacuole. And centrioles are also usually absent in case of this plant cell. So vacuoles are present here and centrioles are usually absent. That is the importance of the plant cell. So the diagram is also shown here for your reference. And now coming to the animal cell here, animal cells are generally smaller than the plant cell and a cell wall is absent. The major difference between the plant cell and the animal cell is presence of cell wall in plant cell, absence of cell wall in animal cell. Chloroplast is present in plant cell and chloroplast is absent in animal cell. This is the common and the major difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. And here you can see that, and one more difference here, an animal cell may have small vacuoles are usually present here, that is storage in function, and centrioles are found in animal cell. And what is the importance of the centriole? It is a centriole that helps to determine the location of a nucleus in animal cell, because the animal cell is irregular. And why it is irregular? What is not present? Cell wall is not present. So this is a common difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. And now we'll make an attempt to know about the different components present in the cell and its main function. The first and the important component of a cell will be a cell wall. And it is called, especially it is called by a name supporter and protector. How it is supportive in function? It is a cell wall that surrounds and protects the cell, and it gives a definite shape and a rigidity to the cell, and also a protector. It acts as a barrier by which any substances unwanted substance cannot enter in or it cannot come out of the cell. That is the main important function of the cell wall, and which is specially referred by the name supporter and protector. And the second is the cell membrane, and the cell membrane will be the gate of the cell. That is, it is involved in transporting of nutrients and water and preventing the unwanted substances into the cell. That is the important function of the cell membrane. In other words, we can say it is selectively permeable. What is the meaning of permeability? that any layer which allow the substance to enter inside is called permeability, or outside is also called permeability. But what is selectively permeable? Only selective, only important substance alone is allowed to enter in or to come out of the cell. That is the main important function of the cell membrane. So cell membrane is called specially gate of the cell, and it holds and protect the cell and control the movement of materials in and out of the cell. That is the second important component present in any cell. And the third important component is called as a cytoplasm. It is the area of movement here. And what is the nature of the cytoplasm? It is a watery. It is a gel-like material. That is, in another word, we can say it is also called as a molecular soup. You know what is a soup? It is where so many ingredients are usually present, and same way all the components of the cell, maybe a mitochondria or endoplasmic reticulum or nucleus, all the components are present only in the cytoplasm, and it is also called as that is molecular soup, where all the cell organs are suspended, where the cell organs are present. And what is the nature of the cytoplasm? It is a watery and it is a gel-like material in which cell parts can move. And the fourth important component of the cell will be a mitochondria. Mitochondria is called by a special name powerhouse of the cell. Why mitochondria is called as a powerhouse of the cell? Because it produces and supply most of the energy. For a cell, you know what is the definition of the cell? It's a basic structural and the functional unit of all living organism. For any cell to carry out a specific and a special function, energy is needed. That energy is provided by mitochondria, and mitochondria is called as a powerhouse of the cell. And the energy to the cell to carry out a specific function or any other function, the energy is provided only in the form of a molecule called as an ATP molecule. And what is ATP? Adenosine triphosphate molecule. So the fourth important component will be a mitochondria, and it's called by a special name powerhouse of the cell, and it produces and supply most of the energy in the form of ATP. And the fifth important component will be a chloroplast, and here it is called by special name food producer for the cell, especially what cell? Plant cell. So chloroplast are present only in the plant cell, and the chloroplast contain a green color pigment called as an chlorophyll. It is present in the leaf. And what is the main important function of the green color pigment? Called as a chlorophyll. The chlorophyll will be involving in trapping or absorbing or capturing the solar energy from the sunlight, and the solar energy is utilized by the chlorophyll to produce the food for the plant by the process called as an photosynthesis. That is the main important function of the chloroplast. And the sixth important component will be a vacuole. It stores food, water and the minerals. The main important function of the vacuoles will be storage in function. And I can tell you a few examples, children, regarding the storage in function, regarding the vacuoles here. And vacuoles is called by a special name, that is storage tanks here, and it stores food here. Few examples I can tell you. Sugar in the sugar beet or in the sugar cane is stored only in the vacuole. And same way in apple we have malic acid, that is stored only in the vacuole. And one more example, that is acids in the citrus fruits, that is citric acid present in the citrus fruits is present only in the vacuole. That is the sixth important component of the cell. And the most important component of the cell will be a nucleus. And the nucleus, it is called, referred by a special name called control center. As how our brain controls all the activity. How our brain controls all the activity. Whenever you want to carry out any process, whenever you need a coordination or whenever you need a conduction, all the information or a command or the message is given only by the brain. Accordingly, all our organs of our body are able to perform its function. Same way, nucleus is act as a brain of the cell because it regulates and controls all the activities of the cell. Because it is only in the nucleus you can see the genetic material, the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA, ribonucleic acid is usually present here, and that is an important component, a nucleus which controls all the activities and which is aptly called as a brain of the cell. And the last one will be a nuclear membrane. What is a nuclear membrane? A membrane which surrounds the nucleus is called as a nuclear membrane, and it is usually called as a gate of the nucleus because it is the nuclear membrane that will act as a barrier that prevents the substances entering in and coming out of the cell, and the special name is the gate of the nucleus. It supports and protects the nucleus, and it controls the movement of material in and outside the cell. These are the main important components of the cell. The first component will be a cell wall and cell membrane, cytoplasm, mitochondria, chloroplast, vacuoles, nucleus, and the nuclear membrane. And in this lesson, we made an attempt to know about a cell and the structure of the cell and the type of the cell and difference between the plant cell and animal cell and various important components. And with this, we will stop today. And thank you, children, and see you back with the next chapter.